Hello, and thank you very much for pressing that play button. Today we're going to go and do a step-by-step lesson on this painting which I completed a couple of years ago. So I thought it would be nice if we did that together today. So please join me after a short introduction and let's get down and start painting. Nice.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush.
And thank you very much for taking up my invitation and joining me in the studio. So let's just get straight down to it and have a look at the colours we're going to be using in the lesson today. As you can see, I've set up my palette in the normal way. The colours are going to go up on the right hand side of the screen as I go through them. And today I'm going to be using a crimson, a Ceylon blue, a phthalo blue, a Van Dyke brown, a burnt umber, raw sienna, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow medium. I got some zinc mixing white, some titanium white, some Mars black, or you could use any black, some gesso, and I've got a couple of my mediums that I've actually produced there, which we'll go through in 1 second. I've just got a small selection of brushes. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll tell you the brushes that I'm going to be using as I use them, and that is a lot easier than just trying to work out what I'm going to use because I don't know. So we'll talk about brushes in 1 second. And as you can see, the colors are going to be there in the video for you. So if you lose track of what colors you're going to be using, they are actually there. Okay, so without further ado, let's actually have a look at this painting. I think that would be good. So stop waffling, Clive. Let's get down to business. Nice. Okay, so we covered the colors. Yes, let's take this hat off because it is quite warm again in the studio. Let's put that up there. Lovely jubbly. Okay, now this is an 18 by 24 pre-stretched double primed canvas. Yes, now I've done a very quick sketch with a watercolor pencil like that. Why a watercolor pencil? Well, because the watercolor pencil lead will actually dissolve in the fluid that I'm going to be using. But what you could do, you could pick up a small oval like that, a filbert even, yes, and you could get a little bit of water or a little bit of medium mix. I'll tell you about these medium mixes in just 1 second. And you can pick up a little bit of Van Dyke brown. You can make a very thin wash like that, and you could put in a very light outline down like that. So if you don't want to use a pencil or charcoal or anything like that, then you can just line out your drawing with a little bit of burnt umber or Van Dyke brown or whatever colour you want, really. It doesn't really matter. And you'll see as a lot of artists actually do that. They do pre-sketches exactly that way. Yes, they certainly do. So I'm just going to do that very quickly just to show you. I'm going to take a photograph of this then, and I'm going to put that onto Pinterest. Now I had not a Pinterest, Instagram. I actually put it on Pinterest as well. It doesn't really matter. I had a message, an email the other day saying, what am I supposed to do with these tracings or drawings? Well, all I do is I'll take a photograph of them, I put them up there. You can download them or you can screenshot them on your iPad or your iPhone. You can print them out and, well, whatever, you can just trace them if you want to and use them onto your canvas, and it's just going to give you a guideline, really. Yes, you can buy books with tracings in these days, which is really good. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. And I'll just wash that brush. Okay, so let's have a talk about the mediums I'm going to be using today. I've got a matte medium mix. There we go. That is my own personal recipe. Yes, and it works really well, and it stops the bonds of the paint from breaking apart, and your paint from flaking, because there is a 30 to 45% rule. So I'm going to do about half a dozen squirts of that into my little pot, and I just put a little bit of water into that, about 20-30% to about 5 or 6, 7 squirts. So that will be fine. That will be fine. And then this little container, I got what they call liquid clear. Now this is designed specifically for my acrylic wet and wet techniques, and it helps you blend colours, and it also helps with a little bit of retarder. Yes, it retards your paint just a touch. I put a couple of squirts of that in there, and that's just if you want a clear blend. That's just helping you with the blending techniques. Also helps me with my other wet and wet techniques, which is like in the Bob Ross style type of thing. So please pop along to the iCards in the top right hand corner of the screen. Please press that, and that's going to take you into some playlists. Okay, without further ado, let's get on to this paint. Oh, one more thing, you'll down here on the bottom right hand corner, you'll see a little picture of me like this. So if you haven't subscribed before, if you click that, you'll automatically subscribe to the channel. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Yes, so and then you get all my updates. Okay, shut up, Clive. Let's get straight on to this painting. Now, I'm picking up a 1-inch short flat, and I'm just picking up a little bit of moisture, just putting that onto my wet palette, and I'm going to select a little bit of kitchen roll, and I've got some gesso. Yes, I got some gesso, so I'm just going to put some gesso onto my palette there, and I'm going to bring this gesso up into the top corner of my canvas. And it is warm in the studio tonight, so let's just bring that in. So what we need to do with this now is I got to get my fine mist bottle, and I'm just going to very lightly just dampen down my canvas. And the reason I do that is because I don't want my paint or my gesso in this instance to actually dry out too fast. So to keep in the canvas panel or whatever you're working on, as long as paper is totally different. So this is I'm just talking about canvas and other things. Don't worry about papers. We can talk about that in another lesson. It just stops it from drying out too quick, because acrylics are renowned for drying fast. Now the reason for my mister bottles and my other mediums, my medium mix and the liquid clear, is actually to slow down that drying process. So together they work absolutely wonderful for this technique, and that's how I paint, and I'd like to pass that information on to you as well. So okay, so let's not say any more about that. Let's just put this on a nice liberal manner. Don't worry too much about the line work in the background showing through. We'll get around that. And that's all I got to do is just apply this gesso, and I'm applying it thickly. Once that brush starts to pull, like as if it's running out of paint, I reload my brush, and that is the key. You don't want to spread this around the canvas too much. And I got a habit of getting into shot on my other camera, so I got to keep looking at my camera every so often. And the painting you see, I painted that about 3 years ago. I did, and it was painted for the living room, and it's just come back into the studio now because I painted another one, and I thought, oh, it would be nice if I redid that and showed you how to do it, because I quite like that one. There we are. So it's a nice liberal coat of gesso on our canvas. Let me just relock this in place. There you go. All right. Okay. Now looking at our picture, I've got a little bit of Ceylon blue. I'm not washing my brush. It's still got gesso on it, so I'm picking up a little bit of Ceylon blue, and I'm going up into the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to go along in crisscross strokes, or as good a crisscross stroke as I can get, because I'm sitting on an angle. And I'm going to try not to obscure this camera. There you go. And as that comes down, it's automatically going to blend with the white and get lighter. Now, a couple of places we can put in a little bit darker here and there. Leave a couple of little spots. You're not going to see much sky. You're not going to see much sky. And then come down. There you go. And very lightly, just go across and blend that sky in like that. We're not worried about sky today. That's not the issue today. We're worried about, because you can't see much of it, but you can see something. Now, I'm going to pick a bit of phthalo blue, which is a slightly darker blue, because our water's got a lot of phthalo blue in it, and I want to balance this out a little bit. So I just want to very lightly, here and there, just darken in a couple of areas. You can see very loose with the with the paint, darken in a couple of areas like this, and if you've put the gesso on correctly and you've been using your Mr. Bottle, well, what we'll do that again now. There we go. You will find that your paint isn't drying, and taking the excess off your brush like that, and very lightly, very lightly come across and blend that in, and it looks like a couple of dark areas of sky showing through. This is a nice wintry scene, but it's got a bit of warmth in it. It's like the first snowfalls basically, so we got a bit of autumn colours in the painting, as you can see. And one of the other reasons I'm doing this is because I think it's important to use reference as well, and there's no harm in actually redoing a painting that you've already done, because it's a good way of learning. And there's a lot of things in that painting that I weren't happy with when I did it, and I thought, well, by recreating it, I'm going to learn a little bit more. I'm going to pick up a little bit of raw sienna now, just on the same brush. I haven't washed my brush, so I got all those colours happening, and I'm just going to come down very lightly and put some sort of a footy hill in there like that. There you go. And then very lightly blending that through, very lightly blending that in like that. So we got a little bit of colour there, a little bit of colour there like that, and you can put a couple of darker areas in. So work on where you think these shadows might fall on this particular foothill if you want. There you go. And then put a little bit of dark in there like that, just a little bit of colour. I'm just cleaning off the brush now, just cleaning off the brush. Now you can see the corner of the canvas is actually going dry, and I'm going to re-lock down my canvas because it moved a little bit. Just a little bit of moisture, just with that really squirty bottle. That it's a fine mist atomizer, and this is what you want. You don't want anything that's going to push out big water droplets really. So, and then get a little bit of that Van Dyke brown and just darken in an area there, blending up like that. Now this could be a little bit of a lengthy painting. Now what I normally do is I split these into episodes, and I'd like to keep my episodes around about the 40-minute mark, sometimes 50 minutes, it doesn't matter. But I like to do that because of it gives you a chance to practice as well, and I want you to learn the process with me, and that's important because you can get lost very quickly in long lessons, and I've learnt my lesson through that. And the experience I've got is that it's a lot easier to do things in small chunks. That's how you eat an elephant, it's a little bit at a time. So not that I've had an elephant, but I suppose if I was going to eat an elephant I wouldn't eat it all in one go. I would try and spread it over and just clean your brush off like that, picking up a bit of titanium white just on the tip of your brush. Look, you can see how thick that is, and I'm just going to very quickly just drag in some, oops, a little bit of contamination and jubilations. Just put a little bit of colour, just here and there, like that, like as if there's a little bit of snowfall there. There, and that's like that. Now that's all nice and still wet. Look, it's still wet. See? So if you've done the job right, that's what you'll get. Now, what we need to do is put that brush in the water. Now I'm going to pick up. There we go. Let's have a look. I've got a very old, very bedraggled fan brush. I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's have a look. There you go. Let the camera focus on that fan brush, and you can see that it's all splayed. You've got some hairs longer than other hairs, and if you look at what we call a rake brush, they're all equal. But this has been used so well, and it's natural. There's not one hair there the same length. So, and that's what I like. Now, I'm going to pick up some burnt umber and some raw sienna, and I'm going to mix those two colours together. Maybe a little bit of, there you go. Let's mix a little bit of yellow ochre with that. Let's just lighten that up a bit, and let's just check that on there like that, and just very lightly, very lightly just drag up. You can do some thicker ones by using the brush on this edge like that, and just, so all you need to do is just a very small amount. You can put some other patterns in like this, and this is behind that area there. This is behind that. This is what you've got to think of. This is not on there. So that line there, this is all going to be coming up behind that. So you can lighten that a little bit. If you want to lighten it, get some little bit of yellow ochre or a little bit of cad yellow into that, and then do the same here, very lightly. Okay, mix a little bit of white like that. Nice colour. And keep these colours because you can go back to these at a later stage and put some things in like this. Any old shape. These are just patterns. They're not really anything as such, because there's just distant bits and pieces, and this is all we're looking to do, is get some just patterns there really. It's nothing else more than that really. It's just patterns. Just going to darken that colour a little bit. There you go. Just a couple of different shapes, and like as if there's some trees or some foliage or something in the background there. It doesn't really matter. There you go. And I'm going to put that in the water. Now, if I can remember where I put it, I'm going to find my script liner brush. Okay, so I got my script liner brush now. I'm going to moisten that into some medium mix flow improver. I'm going to bring that into this light colour. I'm going to mix a little bit of gesso with it, just to lighten it. It could have been titanium white, it could have been zinc mixing white, it doesn't really matter. It's just, I just thought I'd use that up, means it's there. There's no point wasting it. And I'm just going to put some lines in with that colour. Like that. Let's just darken, let's just change the flavour. I'm just putting a little bit of Van Dyke brown with it, just to want to caramelise it, make it look a little bit different. Put a bit more with it. And this is what you want to do. You want to experiment with colours. Don't think that you've got to put certain colours in certain places, and you know, this is your painting, this is your little world, so just have fun. Put these little inky dinky bits wherever you want to put them. It doesn't really matter. And you could have a tree falling over like that. You can put these little things in like this. Just build up these layers, and just re-emphasizing a few little things here and there. And you can make that a little bit darker, I don't want it too dark, but you want to just put a few things. And you can go down that way if you want to, or you can pull up, whichever way you feel is easiest for you. And I've said this so many times before, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. All we're doing here is put in things that look like trees in, and it's just a sequence of lines. So don't worry too much about it, because all this is going to be obscured anyway. But we know it's there. That's the thing, isn't it? We put all this work into something and then we cover it up with big things and big trees and stuff. But it's a nice learning process. So I'm going to clean off those brushes, and I'm going to get the hairdryer on that now and dry that off, and we'll get on to the next stage. And always check it's dry, or surface dry, with the back of your finger. Never touch it like that. I always say that because there's so many people say, why do you touch a canvas with the back of your finger? Because I just reiterate something sometimes. Okay, now, if this is your first time, then this is going to be interesting for you. If you've been watching me for some time, then you'll know exactly what I'm going to be saying in a second. So I'm going to mix up a wash. A wash is a very thin type of paint. It's very thin. Now, when you use a wash, it's important with acrylics that we use some sort of a medium with it, because this has got some acrylic resin in it, and that's the same stuff as your paint is made out of. So this is not going to break down the molecular bonds of the paint. Like I said, 30 to 45% is the key. Don't over thin. Now I got some zinc mixing white. Now this is a very thin, it's not as opaque as titanium white. It's a really nice mixing white, and it doesn't change the colour of your paints that much, and it's not as opaque anyway. So, and I use about 20% paint to about 80% of my medium mix formula. If you use water, if water's all you got, then that's fine, then, you know, but just err on the side of caution. I'm not saying rush out and order all my stuff, all my products that you'll find on www.clive5art.co.uk, because you don't need to do that. But what I'm saying is they're there if you want them, and if you want to use some of my products, then feel free to do that and pop along. Okay, so I'm going to wash over the entire surface of the canvas. I've actually picked up a little bit of contamination and celebrations. Don't be afraid to use a kitchen towel. Yes. So if you've got a problem, let's just go over there, because we've picked up a little bit of contamination. You wipe it off with a kitchen towel. Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. There we go. Okay. I use an extensive amount of kitchen towels. It's a good job I get them from the pound shop, or yeah, the dollar store, pound shop. Yeah, it's all the same thing. Okay, let's go over there. A little bit more zinc mixing white, and let's just come down. And if you want it a bit more misty, I want to try and diffuse this background a fair bit. I still want some colour there, but I want it to be knocked into the distance. And this is basically a scrumbling technique. What they call a scrumbling technique is you've done a colour or a painting. A Grizel painting is like a black and white or a burnt umber painting, and then you go over it like this, and it knocks all the tones back, and then you can rebuild the tones up, and before you know it, you've got a lifelike portrait. And you can do the same in landscapes, and it's a wonderful way to put mist in and develop misty areas. I'm not going to go all over the sky. I'm going to leave some of this dark blue showing through, but if you want to knock that mountain back, that foothill back, then just put a little bit of zinc mixing white, a little bit of medium mix flow improver, and then that's going to knock that back for you. So you can see it's changing the colour of the background there like that. And you can do this as many times as you want. I've actually picked up a bit of colour there, but it doesn't matter. That's okay. We'll just put that in place. We'll develop a nice bright spot there in 1 second. So don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes happen. We've got to live with it. We've got to learn how to recover from a mistake. Bob Ross used to say, happy accidents. Sometimes we do things and they look good. Sometimes we do things and they look bad. So we just got to recover them, and that's all we do. I'm going to dry that again and see how it dries out. Okay, so I'm picking up a number 8 filbert, and I'm picking up a little bit of my liquid clear. I would have helped if I washed my brush. Never forget to wash your brush. The good thing is with that liquid clear is it doesn't dry very quick, so it does help prevent it. There we go. Okay, let's pick up a little bit of liquid clear. I think I got away with that. I'm going to pick up some Prussian, not Prussian blue. What was it? It was phthalo blue, and let's put some phthalo blue straight on to the canvas like that. And this is with the liquid clear. And if you haven't got liquid clear, just make a bit of a wash with it, and just don't go 80% water. Go a little bit less than that. Just add a little bit of water to it. So you're going to need to thin your paint down. Now this section of the canvas the canvas has been double primed, but I haven't primed it myself. This canvas is exactly as I had it from the shop, so it's very absorbent, because I do say about trying to prime your canvases when you get them from the shop. The reason I do that is you can see the way, can you see how the paint is breaking up off the surface of the painting? If you look at it, you'll see it starting to spot. Now those little tiny spots are grease spots, and they're all over your surface of your canvas. Now acrylic paint doesn't like grease or anything shiny, so there's a potential that actually could peel off in time, and this is what I want to. I've got to stress that it's important. Just don't paint straight onto canvases that you've bought from the shop, because personally I don't trust them. I always want to know that I've gessoed it myself and it's pre-primed, and I want to know that I prepared that surface of that painting, or the canvas of that painting, myself, and I know that it's going to be okay. Now I don't trust manufacturers to do that for me, because dust and grease spots, and you don't know who's handled them, you don't know what's happened, you don't know where these canvases have been and what they come in contact with. So I always err on the side of caution, and what I do is I always prime them twice, and that is important. There's going again there, look. Am I capturing that? I hope I am. There you go. I'm doing this because the water is going to be very dark. If you look at the painting I got there, the water is quite dark, so there's not going to be a lot of reflections in it. I am going to put some reflections in, but I want it to be quite dark, so I thought I'd put the water in first, and this is just like an undercoat. Now the liquid clear, because it's acrylic based, it's going to pull that paint into the tooth of the canvas, into the canvas itself, and it's just going to set. It is an acrylic based clear. There's acrylic in it, so that's a good thing, and I can thin this as much as I want with my liquid clear, because I know it's going to hold in place. So if you're using water, don't use a lot. Don't go over that 45% rule, whatever you do. Otherwise, this paint is a possibility this paint can flake off. If you're not sure, get some matte medium, and then mix a little bit of matte medium with your water, and then that should be okay. So I'm going to continue. Where do I put this water? There we are. I'm going to continue down and around like this. Now this is a cold painting, and what I want you is to bring a little bit of warmth into it. So I thought it would be nice, like I've done there actually. I thought it would be nice if I brought a little bit of autumn look about it. So we got some autumn colours in there. Got the raw siennas and the yellow ochres and, you know, the browns and all these lovely colours. But I want to bring in a lot of snow as well. There's going to be a bit of a snow bank there. And I don't know if you see, I am actually going as vertical as I can with this. Let's get that in. I used to paint in oils years ago, and I stopped doing that because I had terrible trouble with my skin. Determination. And yeah, I had a few skin problems, and I know you can wear rubber gloves and all this type of stuff, but my hands sweated, and it got progressively worse, and I had a few respiratory problems as well with the oils, and not so much the oils but the turpentines and all that type of stuff. And I tried the odorless thinners, and that didn't help my hands anymore. And I'm not knocking it, but if you've got I enjoy painting, I didn't want to stop painting, so I thought, well, let's try acrylics. And it took me a long time to actually develop the techniques that I needed to get my painting looking right. And I miss those abilities to get the oils, the color, the way that paint works, and I struggled for so long, and I found ways around the properties I was looking for. I was looking for certain properties that I couldn't get in acrylics that I had in oils. Even though they work in similar ways, there's a lot of difference between them. And I suppose it would be the same if it was watercolours, I presume. I haven't painted a lot of watercolours, but I am going to have a look into actually painting some watercolour paintings, because you can do that with acrylics, because they're water based, and we see what we can do. But I actually developed some product to help me, and like my liquid clear and my medium mix and my retarders. And can you go along to the store and buy them? Yeah, you can buy similar products. The only thing I have never seen is the liquid clear. I actually developed that with my friend. It took us several years to actually find that formula and put it together and work it from there. And it's been a long process to actually find something that would work. And yes, you can buy products, and I have done so, and I continue to do that on many occasions. But when you were determined not to lose something you love as much as I do with painting, then you find ways around it, and that's exactly what I did. Right, I'm going to go back into another wash, because I want to mist this down even a bit more. I get a bit tongue-tied sometimes, and it's nice having you in the studio today. Anyway, I'm enjoying your company today. So let's get a little bit of this in there, a little bit more mist. And I'm not doing everything, I'm just knocking back the areas I think that need it. Like there. There you go. Now I'm going to get a little bit of Ceylon blue. I'm going to bring a bit of Ceylon blue by there. I'm going to bring a bit of the raw sienna. I'm going to mix a bit of raw sienna with that. A little bit more raw sienna. Raw sienna, Ceylon blue. It's going to go on the green side, because you've got a yellow base, and it's got a little bit of a red tinge to it as well. So that's going to dechromerize the green. So red and green are complements, and they cancel each other out. Basically, it desaturates the colour, takes the brightness of green. If you add a little bit of red to green, it takes the colour away from it. The saturation doesn't look so bright. So we've got a green there by mixing a Ceylon blue and some raw sienna, because there's a little bit of red, a little more yellow and red than there. And you can bring a little bit of yellow ochre to that. You can see it changing. So because I put more yellow ochre's got more yellow to it, so you can see it's gone a brighter green. But if I put a little bit more raw sienna to that, it'll dechromerize it, and make it duller. So there you go. So I'm going to bring a bit more Ceylon blue to it because I want it more towards the blue side. I want a nice blue green. That's going to be my shadow color, and I'm just going to play around with a couple of different colors, just adding a little bit of this, adding a little bit till I find the shade I want. Is that the nice shade? That's a nice shade. I like that. I like that. So let's just put a bit of that in. Let's just get a little bit of that in there like that. And get a bit of raw sienna, mixing a bit of raw sienna with it, not cleaning my brush. Bit more raw sienna. And again, as I said, this is just an underpainting stage, so don't worry too much about details and accuracy as that. You're just looking for blocks of colour. And I done a video a week or so ago, and it's on video now. It's called blocking in, and it explains to you what blocking in is. All I'm trying to do is get a mixture of different colours now into that area. But don't forget, there's going to be trees and the grass, and we've got all that to contend ourselves with. So just bring a bit more yellow in. So basically what I'm painting here is the bank, or the hill, or whatever you want to call it. Is a little bit of bank. What I'm painting there is all the colours of the grass before it snowed on. So that's what you're going to do, is put snow on top of this in a minute. And that's all we're doing is putting that undercolour in, so we got something for the snow to go on, and you'll see all them little colours in there. Yes, you will. And I'm going to put a bit of blue in now. Looks a bit strange, but blue on there. I want to cool it down. I want to cool. There's an area there I want to cool down there with some blue, because that's going to show through the snow. And you might think that's a bit dark, like. Oops. You might think, what did I pick up then? Phthalo blue. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put a bit of phthalo blue in there now. Put a bit of phthalo blue in there. It looks nice. And happy accent. That's a bit dark for distance. Well, yeah, it is. But don't forget, we're putting snow on top of it. So I'm just establishing my colour now. I'm going to do the same there now. I'm just going to put that brush in a pot. I'm going to pick up my filbert again, and I'm going to pick up some Van Dyke Brown this time, and I'm going to paint this bit of let's put a little bit of liquid clear with it, why not? And I'm just going to paint this in like that. Just a block of colour. All we're looking for is a block of colour. Like that. You've heard me say before about you can put it on a little bit thicker in places like this, and develop these shapes now. Develop them now. If you can develop some shapes now, when you actually come to paint on this later on, you'll see all these little lumps and bumps, and before you know it, you've developed all these little rocks and that, and you haven't done much. So this is about making things easy for yourself as well. So have a little bit of foresight sometimes with things like this, and that's important, is that foresight that you get. And we got another little protrusion over there, maybe another little rock or something there. Put that in now. And we got a couple of bits and pieces here and there. We can develop some earth tones now. Let's just put some blocks of Van Dyke Brown. This is. That's all you need to do. Is just put some of that in like that. Think this is going to go into the water, so think about this. All we could do while we're at it now is just drag that down. Just get another brush. I got a little short flat, that's a 1/2 inch. That is still wet, I think. It is. All we need to do now is just merge that in like a little shadow like that. Okay. Bring a little bit of that across there now. Straight down, and then very lightly across like that. And what we could do is put a few rocks or something in there, drag them across. I'm just basically smudging a little bit of paint in. That's all I'm doing. Just diffusing some patterns in there. We could do the same there. A little Molly's barking again. Drag it across. Let's get a little bit of blurriness in there. And this is all you've got to do is just work along the edges. Put it wherever you think you're going to have some soil or something, and you can bring up a little bit of dirt in like this. Again, just picked up a smaller amount of liquid clear then on my brush. And again, I'm just going to go down like that, and then across. Just to develop a few little bits and pieces and some shadows, and let's put a little bit there. Let's go across there. You can see I haven't got a lot of paint on my brush, but all I'm trying to do now is just develop a little bit of reflection, a bit of shadow, just giving that water a little bit of colour. And it's still wet. Look, it's still wet. And that's the liquid clear for you, and it helps you do this type of blending technique. So already we started to develop a little bit of depth there, and let's put a little bit of, let's get it on the brush and get that, put it on your brush, pull it down like that, put a little bit of pressure on it, and you're going to develop a really nice sharp edge. Look. And that's what you want. And use this. You can use that between your fingertips like that. You can use it like a little tiny palette knife. Look, the same type of effects you could get with a palette knife, because you've got a nice sharp edge. But don't press too hard. Don't press too hard. It's important you don't press too hard. And a very light brush, a very light touch, very light touch. Then pull that down. Very light touch. Pull that down, and then very lightly. Very lightly, just pulling across like that. And then if it's not dark enough, put a little bit more in, a little bit stronger in strength in places. Pull it down, like that. Okay, now what we got to do now is I want to dry that off with a hairdryer there, and I want to put some light in there, and I might actually, before I do that, where's my flat brush? I don't know. So you see things as I'm painting, and I'm looking at my reference. That's another good thing you've got to do. You've got to look at your reference. Going back into this green mix, a little bit of yellow ochre this time, and let's get a little bit of yellow ochre in there, and let's lighten this up a bit, and let's put a little bit of blue, a bit of green in there. Let's mix up a bit of body of paint now. What I mean is a body of paint is to put a, let's mix up a nice little batch of paint, same colours that I was using earlier. There you go. I'll see what that looks like. That's okay. We can work with that. Put a bit of that in there like that, and this bit more raw sienna. I know it looks strange. Let's get a little bit of yellow ochre in there now. Painting over that rock. Not worrying too much about that. Could be grass there, I don't know, whatever. Let's just put a bit of that in there like that. And when I'm painting, watch how I use the brushes as well, because I get a lot of, oh, you make it look so simple, Clive, and all this, and I know it's hard when you don't. I know it's hard when you're learning. I know it's hard to do things in the same time scale as I do it and other artists do it, and I ask you, don't do that. Take your time. Take your time with the painting. Work at your own pace. You've got a pause button, a rewind button, and a stop button. I haven't got one of them. And I got to paint this in the time it takes me, and it takes as long as it takes. So, but watch what I do as well as just listening. And I don't mean, I know you're watching what I'm doing. What I'm trying to say is actually watch how I hold the brush. Watch how I mix my paint. Watch the angles that I'm using, the strokes that I'm using with the brush, and you know I get it. So the paint is drying so quick and all that, and you know, as long as you know how the paint works, as long as you know, if you practice, just practice seeing when you're working on an area that how long is it going to dry. How long was it since I painted that? Now I can see there's a couple of little wet areas there, but the bulk of that is dry, and this is what I'm constantly doing. I'm looking at sections as I'm working. So I'm working on this section now. I'm looking back there. Is it dry? If I'm not sure, I'll test it with the back of my hand. If it's dry enough without using a hairdryer, then I'll go and work on that section. And as I'm working on that section, I'm monitoring this section, and I'm automatically picking up a bit of Cadiol now. I'm automatically seeing what area I can work on next. I picked up I seen a pattern there. I'm just developing a pattern in there, like that. Picking up a bit of Van Dyke Browning. There you go. There's a bit of a rock there, where there is now. He is. That's where he lives. And a nice bit of thick paint there, and put another bit of a paint there. There's another bit of a rock type of thing there going on there. And he's going down straight into the water. There we are. And he lives there. Like that. All these little tiny rocks. Yeah. Wiping the brush, making sure it's reasonably dry. I'm just going to drag that down. Very lightly go across then like that. There's going to be a bit of ice in that on the water, but you can see that that's fine. I'm happy with that now. So I'm going to put a bit of blue in here now, believe it or not. I'm going to come in a bit of my medium mix formula, and I'm going to come in with some blue now. And you might be thinking, wow, Clive, you know, you've got green but there, you've got raw sienna, you've got yellows, you've got, why are you putting blue in? I'm thinking of shadows, I'm thinking of snow underneath. This is not the grass, this is the shadows of the snow. And when you paint in, especially snow scenes, you need to think about that. And all I'm doing is just getting some blocks of colour, all mixing and matching and merging, and you know, and pick a bit of phthalo blue. Let's just put a couple of darker spots in here like that. That's fine like that. Just mix that in. A bit of a darker area there. Down here, mix a bit of phthalo blue and a bit of Ceylon blue together. Get another type of a colour. There you are. It's a mix of both now. Get a bit of that in there. And paint the sides of your canvas. Paint down here, paint there like that. I don't do that because I haven't got time to do that. And what will most probably happen to this painting is it'll be gessoed over and repainted. Because that's what I do. I'm doing this purely for the joy of painting. Acrylic magic, and Clive's world of acrylic magic. There we are. I think that's what we'll say it. That's what we'll say from now on. It's a bit of fun, and that's all it is, a bit of fun. Let's put a little bit of yellow in there. Let's turn that a little bit green. Let's get a little bit of green down there now. A touch of red. No, red. Yes. Let's warm that up a little bit. Let's just take a bit of red, a bit of that risen crimson into the corner of that Ceylon blue, and let's get a little bit of violet-y colour there as well. Let's warm that up a little bit. Just put a bit of warmth there. Mix that all in, scrub it in, scrub it in. You don't have to, this is a new brush and I'm ruining it. Don't ruin your new brushes. Get an old brush for scrubbing in. I should have done that. Got an old brush. Don't ruin your new brushes. They're expensive enough. So let's scrub that in. Let's just get that. Let's put a bit more brown in there like that. And what I wanted to do is do this. Get this in. Get all these shapes and colours and blend all this colour together. It'll all come to life, trust me. It looks really ugly at the moment, and I'd be the first one to admit that, but it's important that we establish all this colour, and the painting, it comes alive in the final stages. It really does. Painting comes alive in the final stages. And don't worry about it at this stage, just have fun, just block it in, have fun, get that anger out. If you've had a stressful day, take it out on canvas. This is a tough baby, this is a tough puppy. You're not going to hurt it, no. Just enjoy it, just enjoy, get that anger out. And good therapy is, it just makes a little bit of Van Dyke Brown with that, just on the tip of my brush, just to get some colours in there. And let's put another rock in there, or some sort of a outcrop, or I don't know. We'll work on that when we put the snow in. Yeah, that'll do. And just get your anger out. Now what I want to do here is, I've changed it a little bit. I want to put a little bit of thought now. Let's just get a little bit of brown in there like that. It's going to be a little bit of ice on the water. I want a little bit of dirty look about it, because it acts like a little bit of a mirror, this ice. So it looks as if it's picking up the reflections from the riverbed. I'm just going to get a bit of that brown in there. A little bit of blue. Because I want that coldness of ice to show through on snow. A bit of burnt umber. It doesn't matter whether it's burnt umber or Van Dyke brown. Don't darken it too much. Mixing this with a little bit of my liquid clear. There you go. Just add a couple of shadows in there like that. One back into some Ceylon blue. Oh, it's a mismatch March. It's a mismatch March. It certainly is. Okay, so let's get a bit of yellow. Let's get a bit of Ceylon blue in that yellow. There you go. Let's just mix all this up together. Don't worry too much. Let's put a bit of that in there now. Let's get a bit of more yellow. I just want to brighten that area up. Okay, let's get a bit more blue. Now use your, try not to follow me 100% directly. You know, I'm saying put blue here, put yellow there. Use your initiative, use your artistic eyes when you're doing this type of thing. There's going to be a lot of white on you. There's going to be a lot of snow in this painting, as you can see, and the details really and the focus is actually on the trees, not so much on what we're doing here. All I'm doing is just putting blocks of colour in, getting rid of that white, giving myself something to work to. There's a bit of a banking type of thing there, so I want to darken that up a touch. I'm just mixing colour. I'm not really thinking about the colours I'm using. I just want to, just definite differences between one area and the next, like that. This is all going to happen when I put the snow in. And I'm running out of Ceylon blue now. And let's get just put a little bit of white to the blue, just to bring it down more towards there. I just picked up a little bit of moisture on my brush. I know it looks weird. I used to struggle so much with this type of method because I used to think, what a mess, what a mess. I just could not see the wood for the trees. So you know, talking about wood and trees, it's just sometimes you think, I don't know if this is ever going to look right, I don't know if this is going to work. You know, what am I doing here? Why am I struggling? It's never going to work. Chuck your paints in the bin and never come back to them. And I have done that several times. I have over the years. And it is difficult sometimes to actually come in and work like this because I've never been used to working. I was never used to working this way. And oils was such a different medium completely to me. This is a completely different world. The working with acrylics, the magic of acrylics, and it was a totally different world for me. I'm trying to see this type of painting. I'm not a landscape painter, and I'm getting better at it as the years go on. I seem to be developing a lot more skills in landscape painting, because primarily I'm not a landscape painter, but I do enjoy it. So, you know, don't let it put you off. If you're doing something you're not comfortable with, keep at it, because you're only going to improve. You're not going to get any worse. So if you think that, you know, your confidence, you've got to be confident in your painting, because, you know, don't let anybody put you down. You know, you've worked hard. You worked hard to develop a painting, and if you're getting critique from somebody that knows what they're doing, say myself. If I critiqued you and I said this, that, and the other, and you think, no, that's good advice, and you know, and that is creative criticism. But how can somebody that doesn't understand the processes you've been through criticize your art if they can't paint themselves? I've never understood that. You know, they might say, I don't like that. They might say, I don't like that there, and that doesn't look quite right, but that's their perception. It's not your perception. You are the artist. And I have been put down so many times over the years, and I've developed such a thick skin that nothing really phases me anymore. And it's just absolutely unbelievable that, you know, people can criticize you for something that they don't really know themselves. So I absolutely love all different types of criticism. It doesn't worry me one bit if people are nasty to me. I've had loads of thumbs downs. I don't mind thumbs downs. Thumbs downs as good as thumbs ups, and I like thumbs ups on my videos, because it's gratitude, showing people that showing their appreciation by giving me a thumbs up. But people that give thumbs down, they don't like the video or processes that I've done. That's fine, but it still works for me, because no matter whether you leave a nasty comment or a nice comment, it's all interaction. And if you want to interact with my channel, then I don't mind, because at least I know that you've taken the time to watch part of the video, if nothing else. And I appreciate that, even if it's not something you want to see. But there's plenty of videos that I produce that, you know, that might suit you. So, and I've had that, and I've had some people say, oh, I don't like the way you paint this. That's not really my thing. And then they go and find another video that they like, and I've got nothing but really nice comments about it. And you can't please everybody. You can only please certain people at the time. And if you might like certain types of art, and that's it. So I'm happy to understand that, and I think as an artist, that's exactly what you should understand as well. That you can't please all the people all the time. You can please some people some of the time, and some of the people most of the time. You can't please all the people all the time. So don't let that put you down. Don't let it put you off. Please don't let that put you off painting and learning a wonderful thing. To create a work of art in your eyes as an artist is the best thing you could ever do. Trust me, it is your piece of artwork, and I think that you are capable of doing absolutely anything you want to do, and the only person that's going to prevent you from doing something is yourself. So there you go. If you want help and advice and some creative criticism, please leave a comment in the comment box below. Please ask for my advice, and I will give it to you. And I'm always happy to help people and artists and beginners and students, and whatever you want. Just ask, and I promise you I will get to you. It might take me a little time, but I will get to you, and I will reply. And that's something I always do to my subscribers and my comments, and I will always get back to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that dry, I think, and I don't think I'll let it do. I think I'm just gonna let that dry naturally tonight, and I'll most probably come back to it tomorrow, like that. I'll be back. Yes, this is the morning after the night before. So it's raining again, and I let it dry overnight actually. and you can do that, and I think it's good sometimes. You can go away, rest your eyes, and you come back with a different vim and vigour. Yes, you do. Yes. So I'm picking up one of my little bristle brushes. There you are. It's a nice little filbert bristle brush, and it's quite nice for distant trees and leaves and things. And you've seen me using that many occasions. But what I want to do first of all is I'm just going to get a shabby old brush. I'm going to get some yellow there. There you go. And I'm going to get a very small amount of Mars Black just on the tip. I don't know if you can see that. Very small amount, and I'm going to mix that in. There you go. And you can see it's gone like a green colour. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of that there, and I'm going to get some white, ordinary titanium white, and I mix that in a bit like that. There we are. Bit of raw sienna. I have to put a bit more raw sienna on my palette. I'm going to mix that in with that. And then I'm just going to leave my brush there because I'm going to be using that to mix in a minute. I get in this brush, picking up some of that colour, and I'm going to go onto my canvas, and I'm just going to put a bit of a stipple effect there like that. Let's just get a touch more black to that. It's not as dark as I wanted it to be. I don't want this too dark. I just want a hint. And when you're doing something like this, you just got to practice. Just get it that a little bit better. I just want a hint of foliage and stuff in the background. I don't want anything too dark. Just here and there, and there and here. Just some distance. I'm going to get some raw sienna, some burnt umber raw sienna. I'm going to get them on my brush. And now I'm just going to pull up a little bit like that, and then put in a couple of bushes, and very similar to what we did on the actual trees at the background, but I just want to get a couple of these in. There's only shapes we're looking for. Shapes is all we're looking for. But I also want a multitude of colour as well. I don't want everything to look the same. I want your eye to be pulled down there. This is where I want your eye to come in. Okay, so let's just put that brush one side. Now if your brushes, if you want to save your brushes and you don't want to wash them, just give them a little mist with your mister bottle, and that's going to stop the paint from drying. And I did have a strip liner brush. Where did I put my strip liner brush? There it is. Again, we got our medium mix there. Just going straight into that. Now, some burnt umber. I'm going to have to clean my palette in a second. Burnt umber and yellow ochre. Burnt umber and yellow ochre. Let's lighten that up. And let's put a couple of taller trees on things. Oops. In the background. What you want to do with this is when you put it in down like that, but shake your hand a little bit as well. Get a couple of little notches in these branches, and you'll find by doing that they look a little bit more realistic. Like I said, not all trees are going straight up, they're all going all over the shop. So get a couple of branches and things in there like that. Don't worry if a couple of lines are broken. All this is going to be hidden, I would imagine, when we start putting the major trees in. But for now, let's just get a couple of tree limbs and bits and pieces in here. There we are. Very similar to we did on the deer painting. Let's darken that up a bit more now. Let's get a little bit more burnt umber into that. Let's darken it up. Again, add a little bit more of your medium mix into it. Get your brush to a nice sharp point. And then, not quite dark enough, so let's put a bit of Van Dyke brown with it. There we are. Let's just put a couple of darker trees, because the darker ones in front of the lighter ones will look as if they're actually growing in front and not behind. So the lighter the paint, the more in the distance it looks. So these look as if they're more in the foreground now. And what we don't want many coming in there, because that's a rock. So these are all going to be behind the rock. So it doesn't matter if you put a couple of the darker ones in front. Like that. Just put in as many or as few as you want. You can put a couple in here. That you can hear the rain coming down today. Checking my camera, not into shot. I get. Sometimes I said to you before, I get my head tends to get into shot on these cameras, and I've got to be so careful sometimes. There's only me in the studio. I've got nobody to actually work these cameras and things for me, so it does get a little bit hard on occasions, because like everybody else, I enjoy the painting process, and I get a bit stuck here and there and there and here with my paintings, and I lose track sometimes of what I'm doing. I can talk for Wales, but on many occasions I think I have. But there you go. Okay, that'll be enough for now. That'll be enough for now. We don't want a lot of detail in there, and I think let me just put these two brushes in the water and sit back and have a sip of tea and see what I think from there. So what I'm thinking of doing, I'm looking at my picture now. I want to start working on that section there, which is more of my mid-ground. So I'm just going to dry that off. Now I'm just picking up a short flat. This is a 1/2 inch short flat. I'm going to get some titanium white. I'm going to mix a little bit of phthalo blue with it. I just want to blue that. I may even pick up a little bit of Van Dyke brown. Put a bit of Van Dyke brown in there. I want this to be an off-white colour, and I'm just going to drag down and try and skag this in like this. And then try and pull some of that colour through. Don't go all over what you've just painted, this blocking in. You don't want to go all over that, but you want a little bit of it showing through. Don't worry about the base of the trees that we've just put in place, but you want to get this to skag. I'm trying to develop the lay of the land as well. You want to try and develop the lay of the land. A little bit of that blocking in colour showing through. Again, this is just like the second layer. And we're actually starting to put some snow in place now. Very, very, very lightly. Dry brush this. And what I mean dry brushing is it's scagging the surface of the canvas. So if you can see that I'm actually just lightly dragging across, very little paint, and all I'm doing is picking up the Hessian on the canvas itself. And I'm coming down a little bit thicker here and there, just trying to develop a bit of an edge there on the water. And again, we can put a little bit of this on here as well. This is all going to be sitting on top of the rock. This is a rock, so think of that. Think about how the snow will cling. And if you've got a bit of trouble, if there's too much paint on your brush, take a little bit of paint off your brush like that. And then looking at the rock, and then again, same thing, just drag down a little bit, very, very lightly, hardly touching. There you go. Just develop where you think this snow would actually sit on that rock. And then again, very, very lightly, just dragging it down like that. Back in your, and go in with the angle of the land. Think of the flow of the land. This is what we've got to do. That's coming up. I can come up like that, and I can come up a bit further. You can pull that out a bit further. You can paint over what you've already painted. So don't worry too much about that. You can develop this edge then, just a little bit sharper there. Very lightly, dry brushing this in like that. Now you can see that what we're doing is we're using that undercolour, but we're actually laying some snow onto the ground. There's another rock there, look. So just put a couple of thick lumps of snow where it may be drifting, just dry brushing down a little bit like that. Another bit of a ridge there, dry brushing in. Because not all snow is going to lie on, it's not all going to be white unless you've had a really heavy snowfall. Then you're going to have a picture like that when there's thick snow. But in some instances, if this was like the first snow of spring, then the likelihood that you're not going to have a lot of heavy snowfall. Well, we certainly don't in Wales, but you know, that can be different. So you need to change this painting to suit where you live. And you can quite easily do that. And again, just very lightly scrub this snow in place like that. You want it thicker in places and thinner in others. So we can mix up a bit more. So let's get a bit more titanium white. Let's get a touch that blue, touch of blue. Get that in there. Let's get that coldness to the white. A little bit of Van Dyke brown. Let's dirty it up. Bit more white, and it doesn't matter if that colour is exactly the same as it was the first time, but we wanted a little bit darker bit in the foreground in anyway. So looking at the picture, we got a bit of a banking coming in here, so let's put that in place first and go with the flow of the land. There you go. You can dry brush in there. Couple of darker, I said brighter spots, I should say, not darker spots. A couple of thicker spots, and let's get that in. Let's get some of that undercolour showing through now. And again, as we come in here, we got some rocks that this snow could fall on. Let's just put a bit of that in place and dry brush in. Bit more white, bit more brown. Let's just dirty this colour up a bit now. And let's just get a little bit of, let's do that nice edge there like that. And just be loose with this, be loose with it. Again, brushing, dragging this with the flow of the land. Follow angles. It's important that you follow the angles. Very, very important. Because if I paint it like that, it wouldn't look right. So you've got to paint with the flow. And as you see, you can see little things. You can see there's a pocket there. There could be a couple more rocks and things. So you look for these details. There could be a bit of snow gathering under those rocks. Bring the snow down here. This is more of a little ice bank there, so just enforce that for now, and then we can play around with that and sharpen things up as we go into the detailing stage. And again, this is snow that's sitting on ice onto the river, so try and get that to look in. Ice-like. So this is a bit of ice. This just happened to catch on there must be a bit of ground there or something, and this has just happened to catch that and freeze overnight. We've had a bit of snowfall and it's just fallen onto that. Make these stories up. It's important that you make these stories up. I learned that years ago when I was watching TV shows and things, and I watch other artists, and as they teach, they talk and make stories up, and I think it's a wonderful way to get in. You've got to get into your landscape. You've got to get into your painting. Just getting a bit of colour in there, a bit more titanium white now. And I'm just using this 1/2 inch short flat, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, a little bit of phthalo blue, a bit more white. I'm going to be changing my palette shortly. I'm using my brush at that angle now, and then again I'm going to come down, flow of the land, and I'm just going to very lightly just let this brush dance over the surface of the painting. It doesn't matter about all these little tiny little lines and stuff. It's all adding to the effect. Don't try and do this perfectly. You can't do this perfectly. There's a bit of a flatter area there, and it's moving up like that. You're not going to do this perfect, and that's not what you want anyway. You don't want perfection in this type of thing. Just find the edge of that rock. You're going to put a bit more snowfall on that rock there, and you've got another bit of a rock there, and come down. It's certainly raining today. And then build this up. Just find these shapes. Bring this out a bit more white. You want to bring this out a touch like that. Following our process all the way through, very lightly over the surface of those rocks, just where that wind has been blowing, and then a little bit here, and again. If you think you can either wipe your brush like that, or you can just drag it on the surface of the canvas to get very little paint on your brush, and then just go over the edge like that, just so you're just showing the texture of the canvas through, and that's all you want to make it look as if it's snow that's been blowing onto rocks. Now we've developed a couple of rocks there. Clean your brush, and what we can do now, we can get the hairdryer on that and let it dry. Okay, as you can see, I've actually reset my palette. If you want to know quickly how I did that, there is some bonus videos at the end of this main feature, so please pop along there. And there's always some bonus footage, hopefully now, on most of my videos. Not all of them, but on most of them. And I try to do that just to make it a little bit more entertainment for yourself. Okay, so I'm just picking up some plain titanium white. I'm going to pick up a touch of that phthalo blue, just to darken that off. I'm not thinning this too much with anything as such. I just got some paint on my hand. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my cork stick. This is just a stick with a champagne cork on the end. Yes, don't go spending money on these things. And I'm just going to put a little bit of snow here, there, and everywhere on a bit of these, couple of these trees. Now this could be the first snow of spring, winter. Sorry, it could be halfway through the season. Doesn't really matter. You decide where and what part of the winter this is going to be for you, and you can put as little or as much snow on as you want. And that's all you're going to do, really. So don't worry too much about this. Most of this is going to be covered in with other trees, but I think it's important that we spend a little bit of time and just get a little bit of effect as much as we can into these trees. Just makes it look a little bit more realistic. And if you do, I don't think I need that, if you do see a few of these trees through the other trees, then you know they're there, and that's good. And it adds to an illusion anyway at the end of the day. So just bring a little bit of snow here and there on these trees. Your eyes will pick this up. Your eyes will pick it up. Maybe a little bit here and there like that. Just put a few things in like that. And just do as much or as little as you want, as I've said. Be loose, be loose, be loose with this. Be loose with it. There you go. Just giving that a little rinse. What we could do is we could get a little, I'm just going to use this fan brush. Just get a little bit of titanium white, and I'm tapping in like that, just on the very edge of the brush. All I'm going to do is just very lightly pull in a couple of white bits here and there like that, and push up. Just to bring an essence of something going on there like that. There you go, that'll do. And then wash those brushes out now. Right, okay, what I want to do now is put a little bit of snow in there now, and I'm just going to pick up some pure titanium white on my little filbert brush. Again, that's the size 8. Now what I'm going to do is actually lay in snow now on top of that, and I'm giving this now a little bit more thought. I want this to break. Some of them shadows are going to stay in place. I'm going to have thicker bits here and there like that. Nearly picked up my zinc mixing white then, you don't want to do that live. And then don't kill everything you've done. You've got to be mindful of that colour underneath. You've got to be mindful of your blocks of colour, and you lay this on a little bit thicker. It's going to give you that bit of a texture effect as well. But if you put in on the paint thicker there, but you're leaving a little bit of that darker colour in the background, you're giving the ground a little bit of dimension. And this is what you're looking at. You've got to give that ground a little bit of dimension. Now I'm going to put a little bit thicker in front here now. I'm going to bring that thick paint down pulling it down exactly the same way as we did with the first coat of white paint with the colours in it, but this time I'm concentrating more on the highlights of the snow, and you've got to give just a little bit more thought, still dragging some dry brush in, but little clumps like that, and if it falls off the brush and leaves a lump, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't, you don't know what's under that ground. It could be stones and all or whatnots there completely. So just bring that in, smooth that out in a little bit more like that. You're starting to build up this lovely scene. So I want to concentrate just on this area there now, and I'm going to change my focus onto this rock, and I'm putting it on nice and thick, leaving some of that shadow in place now. You can see how thick I got the paint on the brush. I want the paint to actually pull off the brush rather than actually paint with it, and that way you're going to get this thick lumps of snow-like effect. It's going to come down there like that, this drift in there. This is what you need. It would gather. It would gather underneath that rock there. It would gather up against that. It might have been blowing this way. So if that's the case, then you need to just lift up a little bit like that. Lift up a little bit. Just get that little bit of a, like as if it's been blowing. And you've got to put yourself in this picture. You've been here. You're standing by here. Standing on this outcrop. You've come down, you've jumped over there, and you've stood by there, and well, as long as it's solid ice or big ground, otherwise you fall in the river. But you know what I mean. Use your idea, use your imagination. Get into this painting and think, look at that snow, and you can see all these lovely patterns of snow sitting down, and you can have a nice brighter area there. This could be nice and it's all drifted in. There you go. Not all winter scenes have got to be cold and unforgiving. You can put a lot of warmth into winter scenes. Put it on a little bit thicker as you come slightly closer to yourself as well. You can re-emphasize some of these shadows later on. Don't worry about that. You can always paint that in a bit. But if it looks good, leave it. Don't touch it. If it looks good, leave it. Don't touch it. And I'm just going to pull down a little bit like that. Just getting a little bit of reflection there. And that's just dry brushing. Just dry brushing. Reflections, that's all they are, just reflections. Okay, so let's get a little bit more. I'm not happy with you, so let's put a little bit more titanium white in. Let's just thicken that up a touch like that. And this is a wonderful way up the tree. Look, there you go. It's a little bit of a drift. Okay, so this is not a first snowfall. It's more like 3 days of snow. But it doesn't matter. You develop your painting as you move along. So there we go. Now what I want to do now is bring some snow in down this edge. I'm going to have to let this dry then, because the next stage involves trying to warm that snow up a bit. So you can see that undercolour now. You can see that colour is actually working for us. You've got that depth of colour. So as I said, snow is not always white. You've got to remember that snow is not always white. It's got a lot of it's it's like a semi-transparent then, and you can see what's underneath it when it's very light. If it starts to melt, it goes into an ice, and you can start to see what it's actually lying on in a lot of cases. And depending what the ground is, obviously you can see the colours through it, and this is what we're trying to develop here in this case. Just bring in a couple of bits of pieces like that. Now we're going to bring in, eventually we're going to be bringing in a bit of more work with the trees in the foreground. We're going to bring some more trees in here now in a second, and that's going to be the next process. But the first thing I've got to do is let this dry, because I need to put something in that area. I'm not working on this area yet. We're going to wait until we get all that middle ground sorted out. But what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to play around with a couple of rocks now and just put a bit of snow in here like that. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to make myself a nice cup of tea. Okay, so we're going to do some mid-ground trees now. So this is all nice and dry. I'm just going to pick up a little brush. Doesn't matter. You should use a palette knife to mix paints, but I don't really mind, to be honest with you. Okay, so we got a bit of yellow ochre. Got a bit of yellow ochre there, and we got a bit of burnt umber. I tell you what I didn't do. When I mix my palette back up, I didn't put my raw sienna on yet, so I shall be doing that in a little bit. So let's just mix a bit of this. There we are. That's a nice colour. I'm happy with that. That's okay. We can darken that up and lighten it up as we want it. And I'll have to get a little bit of raw sienna in a second. But just wiping my brush, putting that into some water. I'm picking up my script liner brush. Just a touch of water. Medium mix, sorry. A bit of medium mix. Bringing that in. And again, as we did earlier. But this time I want to bring in some bigger trees like that, and just bring them in. Try and get this paint to flow. If you're having a bit of difficulty, use a bit of my liquid clear, that might help. And then put these in anywhere in front of each other and around, and up there, up to the sky. You can add a little bit of Van Dyke Brown to the one corner, and then just change the flavour up a bit. I want this quite thin, so they move. And trees are all different shapes. They're not just straight, mind you, not just straight. Some of them are funny old shapes. This is a crocky old one, a bit like me. I've been told I'm a bit cronky sometimes. My wife says, Clive, you're getting worse as you get older. And I don't think I am, but maybe, just a little bit. We all change as we get older, and that's certainly true. Just put some lines in. Doesn't really matter, because a lot of this is going to be diffused. Try and get them just all over the shop. Just get some lines in. These are all going to blend and merge and fall in. Bit of yellow ochre. Lighten that colour up again. Get this paint to run. Let's put a tree there. Maybe. You won't see all this as such. We've had a bit of a heavy old snowfall by the looks of it. I'm going to put some bigger ones in there in a minute. And this is a mixture of lessons, really. If you think about it, we've done some trees, some birch trees, not so long ago, and all those lessons are in playlists. I'll put in the iCards in the top right hand corner. There'll be some playlists will drop down, and all these lessons will be in there. But it's just a way of showing that you can use all these, merge all these lessons together. And I'm looking at that painting, I got a tree coming across, but that's okay. We're changing this a little bit. There we are. Never ever going to be accurate. I don't excuse me. I don't like doing the same things over and over and over if I can help it. But in this instance, let's mix a little bit of Van Dyke Brown now. Let's put a little bit of spend a little bit more time on this tree, because he's in the foreground, or midground I should say. And there's going to be a little bit more of him showing. That's the first part. Let's get this chunk growing. There you go. Don't forget, branches grow everywhere and they're so free and loose. I think the wind's had this one. Looking a bit weird. But that's what trees are, they're all over the place. They're not just straight. I very like fine ones there like that. Whatever you don't like, we can cover it with a bit of snow. There we are. We can make that trunk a bit bigger if we wanted to. A bit gnarly, I think is the word. Yeah, it's a bit gnarly. Oh, gritchy, crotchy, bit of old grumpy guts this one. Yes, he is. Little bits here and there, just coming up from the base. There we are. That's a great old gnarly old tree. Okay, so let's darken up a little bit of that there. Washing the brush. Okay, so let's get the short flat. Let's get a little bit of white and a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, a bit more. Let's put a tree there. This is a good test now. Put a tree in there. So you can don't have to use a script liner brush if you don't want to. You can use one of these. There we are. And these normally come in about pairs like this. I've noticed that these type of trees tend to grow together, so they must be really friendly, these trees. And let's put another tree. He's on a bit of a skew with that one. Actually, he's split into two, look. Yeah. I'm going to get a bit of black on the very tip of the brush. A bit of black on the very tip of the brush like that. Okay, now this is where we've got to be. I'm going to use our cork stick, and then we just brush a little bit of patterning in. This. Just to give these trees that silvery birch type of look. just a different type of tree. We can go back into our script liner brush and we can pull some branches out that colour, like that. Maybe just add a little bit of black to it, just to grade it slightly. Put a couple of these in, these limbs. And they will be everywhere. They'll grow out. And all you're trying to do is just try and get some sort of a look really of branches and things and that. There. What I want to do now, before we do the next bit, is I need to dry that again with a hairdryer, because I want to do something there now. Not too worried about that side. And if you notice, all I did there was just dry the bottoms of the trees. Time for a swig of tea before it gets cold. I'm picking up my little filbert brush. Go. We can show this reasonably dry. Again, picking up a bit of this white, and I'm just going to go in now and just do the foots of these trees with some snow and bed them down. Bit of snow on a couple of these. Increase the brightness a little bit there. I'm going to bring a bit of yellow, a touch of yellow and the white. I'm going to make this a very, very pale yellow, like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in a bit of yellow into this area there, like that. Bit of sunlight glinting through just on top of that snow, just catching some reflections like that. Let's bring a little bit of yellow onto here, and we got a little bit of light just singing through. Maybe a little bit there. There we are. We'll do a bit more of that after, but it's just a little bit of sunlight this just coming through. And again, what we want to do now is get our brush, get into this colour there, dry brush. Picking up a little bit of liquid clear. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid clear on top of that blue, because I want to get some reflections in. And then just pick up So it's like still water. I don't think it's going to be catching much. What we want to do is just put a essence of reflection in. I'm just picking up a bit of that white with the yellow in it. I'm just dragging straight down. I'm just very lightly dragging across it now. Picking up a bit of Ceylon blue now on my brush. I'm just putting a bit more of that very, very small amount of blue. I just want to bring a bit of that colour back in a couple of areas there like that. Let's darken up our water a little bit, into that phthalo blue now, and then go over this side, very, very lightly, just scrubbing in. Oops, very, very lightly, just scrubbing in, darkening that one edge there. Let's bring a reflection of that tree. Bring a couple of other lines in this line, as you can, just picking up the leave it at that. Leave it at that for now. Let that dry. Okay, so we've got that looking quite nice. So let's go back into our script liner brush once more, back into this yellow, white, sorry, not yellow, white. And let's just put some lines on these trees. Very loosely. A bit mad there, Clive. I got the snow on this side, don't I? So I have to be there like that. Okay, now it's starting to come together a little bit now, so to get in my bristle brush, I'm going to get a little bit of yellow there, there. I'm going to get a touch of Mars Black, nice dark green. What I want to do now here, I'm going to start putting some bushes in like that, maybe some of there as well, some green in now, start developing this area here. I'm not going to put too much on this side, I don't think. Maybe I'll have, I don't know, maybe have a little bit of green showing in here. I can see some bushes there. That'd be nice. Picking up a little bit of browns to developing that, like that. Let's darken that up just a touch. And some shadow is in. Okay, so we've got a bit of grass and some bushes and things there. Let's get a little bit more dark into that, a bit more yellow. I'm just pushing in a little bit of green here and there, like that. Like as if there's a little bit of grass just poking up. There we are. We'll leave it at that for the moment. Okay, so what we can do now is let that dry. We need to get my, let me get my short flat once more. And this is we're going to do this and then we're going to dry it off again with a hairdryer. So I'm going to get some Van Dyke brown, just Van Dyke brown now, Van Dyke brown, and I want to put in a tree there. See, and you've got to be quick with that. You've got to make the decision and plonk it in there. That's going to come up there like that. So just put the trunk in for now. And then we got to decide, we're going to put another one in, another trunk in there. I'll put another one in there, see? Gone behind that one. Let's have a look at that. Maybe we have another one. Maybe we've got another one coming in. Yeah, like that. It's looking pretty good at the moment. We've got another one then coming in there. He's gone behind that bush. And this one can come there like that. It's like as if he's just split up and he's coming up there like that. So we're going to put them in a second. So, but I'm just putting the underlining branch in there, or trunk I should say, in there. And what I'm going to do now is let's put another one just coming out of this. It's a young one, this one. There you go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually just put the limbs in there. There's no point me videoing that. I'm just going to put the branches and the limbs in, and if I add any more I'll let you know, but I'm just going to do that now because it's just to save video time really. So same process now. I'm just going to put the trunks in, or the branches in, and I'm going to bring the branches around, and when we come back that'll be done. So yeah, it's just to save video time really. Okay, sorry I had to cut the film in there, but it's a long laborious job, and even if I speeded it up it'd only be me painting lines. So really you've seen that process, so hopefully I haven't ruined the video too much by doing that. But I'm picking up a small short flat and I'm bringing in some titanium white. I'm bringing in a bit of phthalo blue to that now, and I'm going to cool down that white. And now I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that cool looking white into this foregrounding area, and again building up that snow, there like that, and just placing that down where you think the snow is going to fall. Don't worry going over your trees a little bit. We can sharpen that up, but I should maybe have done this before I put that tree in place, but it doesn't matter. It just goes to show that you don't really have to worry too much about it. And just from underneath those bushes there, and just keep doing that until you are ready and happy with the way the snow is looking. We can put a little bit more detail into these rocks later on if we need to, and just strengthen up some of that colour. Bring in a bit of snow. Around that tree's foot. Got a couple of rocks here that the snow is falling onto. And I love these type of scenes. I think it's wonderful, especially this time of year with we got Christmas coming up. I know time is relative on YouTube, so you might be watching this in June. But yeah, this is painted in November actually. But I mean, it's a nice painting no matter what time of year it is. It's a nice painting to get your teeth into, and it's a bigger canvas. It's a lot more work involved, but it teaches you a lot of processes along the way, and you can learn so much by this. So let's bring in a bit of nice white snow now on top of this, whatever this bit of mass of land is. I don't know whether it could be just a frozen ice. It could be anything really. I don't know. Let's just whiten that up a bit. We get a bit of that colour showing through, and it's going to be a lot brighter on the top and a lot thicker towards this edge there. I'm going to take that maybe into that water area a little bit like that. And I hope you can see the way I'm using the brush, and you don't have to be conventional with brushes. You use them whichever way you think that effect is going to be for you, and that's the key. Just dragging a bit of that across. Careful doing this, don't press too hard on this. There's a reason I'm doing this, because I am actually going to put a slightly darker wash over the blue in a second. You can make this look as if it's some reflections and things. This is just dry brushing, just dry brushing. We can get a bit of a Van Dyke brown and maybe put a shadow there. There you go, we should be alright. Okay, it's starting to come together quite nice, I think. So we can definitely now go in and just bed these trees in. Put a little bit of thicker snow here and there. And this is just white now. This is pure titanium white, just to get that little bit of a brightness. It's like a highlight. A little bit there on top of the yellow, just to make that yellow stand out a touch. Don't go too much there. You need to bed these trees in, look. Like that. Got to give them something to stand on. And again, over here, we can put a little bit of snow in. Just to bed these foots in. There, like that. A little tiny bit of white just right there, like that. Now it's starting to come to look quite nice now. I got this bit to work on, so let's pull that down. Seeing a bit of that blue white. And what we got here is we got a bit of a banking there. Because this is in front of that, so let's just try and just pull that in like that just for now. Just so we can define that. Okay, so picking up this brush that we did the bushes with, let's pick up a little bit of that blue. And just very lightly, very light, to tap in a little bit of frost or whatever on these bushes. Could be snow, could be frost, doesn't really matter. Bit of pure white. What I'm trying to do is take a little bit of that off. Just pull in a couple of bits of colour like that. So it looks as if the snow has caught a couple of these bushes. And what we could do now, just get a filbert brush. This is the number 8 filbert brush. I'm picking up a bit of the raw sienna, which I have put on the palette now. All I'm doing now is just tap in the canvas. You know, we've done this with the birch trees, so I'm just putting a couple of little leaves here and there, just to break up the canvas a bit. It's just raw sienna, just tapping in. These could be the last remnants of leaves that are hanging on the trees. because not all trees go bare. Some trees keep their leaves and they just go like orangey colour, and they certainly do in the UK anyway. Some trees in the UK have got some moss and stuff growing on them, and we could do that on this tree. We could put some moss on that tree if we wanted to. Just a couple of lighter spots. Just tap a yellow, mix that with the paint that's on the brush now. This is like a dirty painting technique. I'm not washing my brush, I'm just mixing the colours actually on the brush itself, and you'll get these wonderful flavours of paint. And I'm very, very lightly just tapping a couple of areas here and there and here and everywhere else. I'm just bringing a couple of light spots there on this side, because we got the light coming in, haven't we? We've got that yellow effect. So let's pick up a bit of burnt umber. Let's mix a bit of burnt umber now with some of that yellow ochre. Take the excess off, because you don't want this too thick on the brush. Okay, don't have it too thick on the brush. And again, just go in there like that. You'll put it a bit thicker in some places than others. That's fine also. What you want to do now is maybe pick up a bit of Van Dyke Brown on the brush, and then just touch canvas like that. Effects, that's all we're looking for. Is just like, you don't know what that is. It could be anything, couldn't it? It could be absolutely anything. We've got a look of some sort of pattern going in there, and we can tighten these up later on if we want to. That's fine also. But maybe just a few leaves, just a few leaves on some of these trees. That's good. Okay, so washing our brush, let's pick up a bit of the burnt umber, and I mix that in straight into that other mixer we done there. It's a bit of yellow ochre, a bit of raw sienna, and all that type of stuff, and then let's just put a little bit of colour into these rocks there like that. Let's change a couple of these areas. Just bring a little bit of colour in, so we can define them as rocks then, really. And then back into our white, and just strengthen up the white areas. I'm not worried about cleaning my brush. There. Back over this blue now. Let's bring in a little bit of colour into this, into this paint, into this snow, I should say, not paint. It's not paint cloud, it's snow. Don't worry if it picks up a bit of brownness on your brush, that's fine. If it's too much, then wash your brush. But you don't want this to be pure white, because like I said earlier, snow is not pure white, only when it first falls. And you can play with this for hours, really. I can't remember how long it actually took me to do the first one. And just keep building and building and building, building and building this snow up. It's a wonderful way to develop your painting skills and to have fun, and painting in the studio is all about fun, all about fun. I'm going to bring a little bit more bright snow, really thick impasto type of paint there now. I want this to fall and break and there. Nice and bright there. Nice, I like that. I like that. I like that a lot actually. Let's bring a bit of snow down here now like that. Let's make this like what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let that dry because this is quite thick in places, and even if I dry it with a hairdryer, the problem I got is that it's only going to be surface dry, it's not going to be dry directly down into the fabric. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit now, and I'm going to concentrate actually now on the water, and we're going to start bringing this together in a minute. So I'm going to get them a little bit of liquid clear, and I'm going to put my liquid clear all over the water area like this, and this is what I use to help with my water techniques, because it's a fantastic way you're keeping the surface canvas of the canvas wet, and it allows for blending. So it's like a clear blender basically, all it is. It's like a clear blender. And all I'm doing is brushing that in, painting that on. And this liquid clear is a fantastic paint. Well, it's a paint, it's a medium, and it's used for my wet and wet techniques, as I've said, and you can paint directly onto it, or you can use it like what I'm doing here now is just as a blender, as a clear blender, rather than my blending white, which is a white blender, which I use on skies and things like that. Try and remember where you've been, because it's clear you can't see it. Okay, I'm picking up some Philo Brule now, and I'm coming in and I'm darkening the water. On this one side. Picked up a bit of white there, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. I want to darken this edge a bit more here. And just blend that through. Get a little bit on your brush, and you can put in a few darker areas like this. I want it nice and dark here. Don't put too much paint on that brush. We all know that water's not all blue, but I'm doing it this way because I just want it to look cold and to cool it down. You can get over the rocks and that we put in place. There's a little bit of a paint drip there. Oh, we can cure that after, don't worry too much about that, Clive. And again, this side I want to dark on this edge, a little bit darker underneath there. I'm going to get a little bit of that phthalo blue. I'm going to put it by there. I'm going to mix a little tiny touch of black to it. A little tiny touch of black. I want to darken this a little bit more. I want to darken this just a little bit more by there, like that. Not too much. I'll do this now, not a lot, just a little bit. It's important that you don't put a lot, just a little bit. A couple of darker colours here and there. I'm still using this phthalo blue and black. Am I in the shot? Yes, I am. A little bit of colour in the water like that. It's looking quite nice. Okay, washing that brush. Well, I'm not washing it, just chucked it in the water. And where's my script liner brush? I did have a script liner brush somewhere. Here it is. I'm going to pick up some white. I'm getting this to a really nice sharp point. What I need to do now is very careful, very careful. And I want to go across and develop just underneath, just put a little white line. I'm trying to put a little bit of a water line there, like that, just underneath. Leave a little bit of a shadow showing on the top part, and just like as if it's developed a little bit of a, try and go straight across if you can. Tiny water line. This is going to be fun. A little tiny water line like that. Yeah. Don't forget, still wet. That's the joys of this liquid clear. Very lightly get some paint onto your fan brush. Very lightly. Very lightly. You can put some little water reflections in like that. Be very careful with this. You need to practice this. If you push too hard, you're going to ruin your effect. Be able to put a few stronger ones in there, a bit more paint, like as if there's a bit of ice starting to form onto the water. Just trying to bed this into the water now. There's a little bit of ice forming on the water. Let's put a bit more paint on this brush. As I haven't got enough lines there, and I want a few more lines in. I see I went a bit hard then, but that's okay. I could act like a reflection of a branch with some snow on it. What we can do is, if we have gone hard, what I'm going to do is I'll brush that down, because this liquid clear is still a wet. I very lightly blur that in like that. And we can do that in a few areas. Just blur that off. It looks as if there's some reflections going on. Straight down and across. Straight down and across. There we go. Pick up a bit of paint that's on there. Straight down and across. And there is our reflections. There you go. Now it's starting to look something. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put some snow on all these branches. Again, I'm not going to video that. So when you come back next time, there'll be a lot of snow falling. So let's hope you've got your parka on and your big woolly hat and your scarf. Put some gloves on, because it's going to start to look really cold in a minute. There we are. I've added some snow onto the branches and things, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to back into that green mix. I'm going to mix a bit of white, just bring a bit of white into it. Just want to try and lighten that up, change its value. There we go. Put a bit of your yellow to it. Just make it more of a yellow green. That's just Mars black. All that is Mars black, yellow, and a bit of white. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put in some lines here and there, like this, like as if it's a couple of little bits of grass poking up. And normally under trees you'll find there's a little bit of grass there, and just add a few of those type of things. Anyway, you think there's a possibility of maybe some twigs and branches and, you know, grasses and stuff like that that are coming in. It doesn't have to be grass, it could be just bits of green twig. Put a bit of brown in there if you wanted to as well. You could bring a few of them in like that. You just want to bring in a little bit of realism, really, you know, a bit of that. It all helps with the illusion of it's like a woodland scene, and it also gives you a little bit of colour as well. Now, what the other thing you could do is you could get a rake brush, or in this case I'm using that brush again that we put on with the water. I'm just going to pick a bit of that up, and I'm just going to very lightly just tap in a little bit of green here and there, just to break up the snow. And because this is it's not been made, it's just how it is. I've chopped a few things here and there, but you can't buy these, you've got to make these, and there is a video that I've done to show you how to do that. So just bring in a little bit of grass here and there, a little bit of green. It shows up really well against the blue as well, and just helps that illusion of bit of brown just come off the tree, look. Never mind. That just helps with that illusion that some of the areas are not as covered in snow as the rest. So just bring in a little few blades of grass here and there, like that. And you can put in, you can get a little bit of raw sienna, you can get a little bit of burnt umber, you can change the flavour of that paint, and all you're doing really is just creating that illusion of a woodland floor. All that colour that we put underneath here in the early stages is still there, it's still poking its head out here and there. It's a lovely way of doing a ground as well. So you're developing this wonderful painting. Bring in a little bit more green here and there like that. You could put a little bit of snow again on these if you wanted to. If you wanted to make them look a little bit as if the grass has actually caught some snow, so you can just flick in a little bit of white just on a very tip of your brush. Not a lot of paint, just a little bit of white here and there like that. Just like maybe in your world it's just picked up a little bit of snow here and there. There you go. And that's all you need to do, is create that illusion. That's all we're doing. We as artists, we're illusionists. Yes, we're magicians. We're magicians with paint. Yes. Some people make people disappear and cut them in half, and what we do is turn a two-dimensional object into a three-dimensional viewing experience. What I want to do now is, again, I'm going to bring in some more white, and I'm really going to lay the paint on thick across this area here now. My little Molly's chasing Boo, my cat. Molly is about 7 months old. She's a little Jack Russell. And Boo is well, just a cat, black and white cat she is, but she's mainly black, and she's a wonderful little kitten. And well, I say kitten, she's over a year old now. She certainly is. So I'm just going to check the time. I've got a clock on the wall behind me, because I'm off work today because of the rain, and it's that time of year. I find it very hard to work in the rain because I'm a window cleaner. And I'm going to go and pick my lovely wife up from work in about 20 minutes. And I'm just laying on some thick paint because I know it's going to take about 20 minutes for this paint to actually dry off on me. Enough so I can paint over it again. But I'm laying on this nice thick paint now. And I'm just building that illusion of snow on the ground. And don't forget, as I've said before, many times, is that don't forget to paint the edges. I don't do that. No, I don't. Picking up a bit of blue on my brush now. I'm just laying in a bit of shadow. Like that. There you go. And let's bring in a bit more thick snow. Just here and there, like that. Bedding some of that grass in. And don't be afraid of using paint thickly. Sometimes a lot of people actually like to touch a painting and feel it, and I don't mind people doing that, because I think, oops, I think that's the form. I love interaction, and if people, I've done some paintings for a blind friend of mine, and it's A Boat on the Beach is called. If you want to have a go look at the playlist for that. And that's a very thick impasto mixed media type of painting that I did. And I love people that just interacts with my paintings. I think it's wonderful that people take the time to do that. And talking about interaction, I want to thank you for leaving a comment and liking, and if you haven't already done so, please press the subscribe button. There's a little picture of me down by there. I don't know if you can see it, down in the bottom right hand corner, there's a little picture of me like this. So if you've never subscribed, if you click on that little picture, it's a little watermark, you can actually instantly subscribe. Yes, you can. And there's a little button up there. So if you take your cursor up to the corner of the screen, and you see a little circle with an eye in it, and that's going to drop down some cards. And in those cards, I got a selection of playlists and some videos that you want to go and watch. And that's what I recommend. I put them in there for you because I think that's what's relevant to this particular video. And every video I do has got a series of cards in it, so they're all different. So don't think that all the cards are exactly the same, because they're not. I actually select the playlists and videos and things in there specifically for you. So please go and check those out, and check them out regular, because if you don't check them out regular, you don't know what I'm trying to bring your attention to, and that's important. Because everything I do in the studio is done for a reason. Every painting I do is a build-up of the lessons that I've done during the months or years that I've actually been doing this. So if you've been following me regular, and as a regular subscriber, the good thing about that is that every time I upload a video, you'll get notification of it. If you don't, check your iPad app or your phone app or your computer program, and you can always type in and say, how do I get notifications, and it'll tell you. And there should be a little magnifying glass or something there you can search for. Underneath there's little playlists that you can go into, my playlists, but you can actually select, I forget exactly where it is now, I'll have to have a look, but you'll have to select, you can select then to get notified every time I upload a video, and you'll never miss out, never miss out. And it's important that you keep liking and give me a thumbs up and commenting and subscribing, because that way then that's going to allow me to grow. And the more I grow, the more content I can bring you. So I'm only limited to the amount of content that I can actually produce, but the amount of time I've actually got to spend in the studio. So I'd like to be able to do this full time, and I'm not able to do that at the moment because I've got to earn money doing my day job. And so the more times that people subscribe, and the more times that people comment, more times that people gives me thumbs up and even thumbs down, because I don't mind. It just shows that you care, and that's the most important thing to me. If you care enough to say you dislike something, that is as nice as saying that you care because you enjoy it. And that's the philosophy I take, and I think it is a wonderful thing to do. And all I want to do is bring joy and magic of acrylics to you, and all the people that want to learn this fantastic medium, which is acrylics. Okay, Clive, I've said enough. I'm going to let that dry, and I shall be back in a tick. Oh, hello, you're back. Yes, I've just chucked a couple of twigs and things in there, and I picked my wife up from work, which was wonderful, and I'm getting some Van Dyke Brown. I'm just picking up a bit of black. I'm just going to darken that Van Dyke Brown up with a bit of black. There we go. I just want a dark colour, and I'm going to concentrate now mainly on this tree. So I want to bring I'm not going to look at my painting now. This is a new painting, so I want to try and bring a nice tree shape in. Yeah, I'm putting a bit of moisture. I want to try and bring a nice tree shape in. Yeah, I'm going to bring this limb out like that. I'm going to take this up there like that. Maybe bringing a bit of a bend in the tree a touch there. And take that straight up there like that. And continuing with a bit of a twist. This tree's got a bit of a twist to it. The trees are all different shapes, so don't worry too much about the actual shape itself. You've got to be a little bit mindful, but you can make that a little bit. Looking good. Okay. I could bring that up through there. This is just a massive branches now, really. That's all we're looking for. Excuse me. And this is actually a good painting to learn how to use your script liner brush for trees and things, and you know, don't be afraid to just go overboard with this, because actually the more branches and stuff you've got coming out of these trees, and you can't define where one starts and the other one stops, and you know, it looks as if there's just a mass of stuff going on there. And you can bring this down there like that. So a branch that's hanging down, and another bit going off there like that. And then we put a, if you don't want to, if you can't see that, just put a little bit of white on it. Look, there you are. It's just hanging down. There you go. Now you can see it. We'll define all these in just 1 second. There we go. Put some, just to, so we can define where these branches are actually coming from. Just plod in a bit of snow here and there, and then here and here and everywhere. Snow is just going to catch anywhere anyway. So just plod that in like that. A bit overboard there again, doesn't matter. It looks as if it's not going anywhere, so let's carry that around like that. And that looks really weird. I do not like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that down. I'm going to take that line down like that. Let's take that there like that. Let me get my short flat. This tree is now going behind that tree. It's going over there, and it's now coming like that. Put a bit of black in there. A character. There you go. Looks quite real, because trees fall over and things and you don't know, and there's just a massive colour there, and that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. Really happy with that. Alright, let's go back into this water. Again, I'm going to put some liquid clear. I'm not doing that bit, I'm just going from about this section, and I'm putting some liquid clear in. Let's just get some reflections of some trees going in there. Getting a, I'm just going to use this little blender, this little brush I done for the bushes. I'm just going to spread that around like that. There we go. Going back into some liquid clear. And some more liquid clear down here. Again, going back into that phthalo blue, and I'm going to darken that a little bit stronger now. I get a bit more phthalo blue. I just want to go strengthen under there. Going back into that white and yellow that we made earlier, and to get that sunlight in, what I want to do now is just bring in some nice bright light effects. I'm going to bring a bit more yellow to that actually. I want to make this look yellow. I want to make it look a little bit as if that light is catching and zinging through. There, like that. And if it's too bright, then don't worry too much about it. We can put a little bit of white over this after, just to knock that back if we have to. But I just want to get that yellow. I want to get that bright look, like as if that light is coming through there. I need to settle this down. I'll put a bit of light just come in there like that. A little bit of very thin wash. Bit of light on that tree there, I think. Again, a little bit catching that tree like that. Just using a very thin paint. Just want to bring a bit of light into that area there, like as if it's just picking up a little bit of sunlight. Again, very thin wash, very thin wash of yellow. I'm just thinning that down. Maybe just change my brush just to drag that through. A little bit of light white back in just to diffuse. I'm just dry brushing white over that yellow again now. Just want to diffuse that yellow a little bit. And this could be where that stag lived, where we painted earlier this month. And the stag could be over there in the forestry. There you go. Just bringing in a little bit more white here and there like that. So what I'm going to do is I want to darken the front off, and that's the thing. Now I got to start thinking about shadows now, and I think that's the next stage. So this time I'm going to bring some phthalo blue there. I'm going to bring a little bit of red, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Yes, we haven't used alizarin crimson yet, but the reason I brought that in is because I want to make a nice little purpley violet. And if you want to know what type of purple you've got, just add a little bit of white, and it's more to the blue side, a little bit more red. I want to redden it up a little bit. There you go. And put a touch of black, only a small touch, just to darken that off. I want a nice shadowy colour. Let me have a look. See, we've got a lovely colour there. Now I'm going to turn that into a wash again. There we go. Maybe just a touch more black, maybe. That'd be good. Now I'm cleaning my brush completely, and I'm just going to pick up a bit of this shadow colour, and I'm just going to basically, let's get another brush. I want it really thin. I'm just going to basically bring that over like that. Just darken down. I'm going to get a bigger brush actually. There we are. All over. A nice wash of this all over that. All over. Don't worry about destroying your paint lines, your lines in the water. We can put them back in a minute. I was just doing that just to show you how you could do it. So it's just getting a shadow in. A nice cold wash over this. Darken that right down there. Darken that nice and deep. Get these deep shadows in. This is just a shadow wash. Bit more Prussian blue, phthalo blue, sorry, bit of black, bit of red. Make sure it's not too, that's better. You can get a blending brush at this stage if you want to just to smooth out some of those brush lines there. Let's blend that in like that. And try not to confuse you too much, but I'm trying to make a nice thin wash again now, and I want to darken some of these trees with that. I'm just going to cool these off a bit. Let's put them in the shadow basically. Not looking too bad now. All I'm doing is trying to darken certain parts of the painting up in order to show light, because you've got to have dark in order to show light, and the only way we can do that is put this in the shadow, and your emphasis now is going into the painting. I hope you can see that, and so that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. We got our foliage brush, which I'm just trying to dry. Again, let's get some yellow there, a little bit of black into that, get a bit of that green, and just re-emphasize some greens there, a bit more black maybe, because these are going to go into shadow. Just darken some of that off there. A bit more black. I don't want it too dark, I want it dark enough, so let's just put some grass there like that. Let's put that a little bit darker. Just a touch of snow. Mix that with a bit of blue. Let's get a bit of that blue and white mixed together like that. Let's darken that bluey, greeny, white colour. Bluey, greeny, white colour. Just bring a bit of, you don't want it too light. Drag a bit of that down like that. A bit brighter here and there. And let's get a little bit of more snow. Drag that in like that. Pull it up. That's my computer going off. Just put a bit of shadowing in there. Let's get a little bit of dark in there. Blend that through. Bit of pure white now. Just here and there. Like as if it's just picking up a little bit of light that's coming through those trees. Let's just put a bit more there like that. A little bit more there. Just picking up a couple of highlights. Just a bit of light is just picking up from the coming through the trees, maybe just picking up on this snow, just to making it sparkle a little bit. And all it's doing is adding a little bit of light into the shadow area, and it's making the shadows look darker, but it's making for a really nice painting at the moment. And I'll keep it to my elbow under my case there. And let's just put a little bit more of a bit of snow there, and that's all you've got to do now, is just basically go through the painting and look where you need to put these little highlights and things in, and just build it up from there. And it's attention to detail, really. You can spend as much time on a painting like this as you want, and if you would be so kind as to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and like, comment and share my videos, and give me a thumbs up where you can, that would be good. And there's plenty of playlists on my channel if you want to go and check them out. And all I got to do is just continue to build up little bits of white here and there. I'll tell you what we could do now. We could pick up our fan brush again and go back into that white, and then just very, very lightly, very, very lightly bring in some little watermarks like that. Maybe just a little bit of moisture, maybe just a little bit of moisture. And down here we got a few here and there, a couple of little water lines straight across, straight across. Just to give it that little bit of realism. There you go, very nice. And we could just play around now, and you can put some bit more flakes of snow here and there if you wanted to, just to tighten it up. Be very sparing with this, and you can put a little bit here, just put some grass growing out. It's just caught the snow. And I think we have a finished painting. And today I'm just going to sign my name just into there. There you go. And all remains to be said, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Have a good day, a good week, a good month, a good year, because I don't know exactly when you're going to be watching this. But I hope this has taught you a lot of techniques. And if I have done, please leave a comment in the comment box below. Please like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget the iCard button there. That's going to take you into a selection of playlists that I've selected. And they change on every video. And also there's a little me down there like this, giving you a thumbs up. So please click on that if you haven't already done so to subscribe. And if you have a look at your app on your iPhone or on iPad, when you go into my channel, there's a little bell. If you want to click on the little bell, that will automatically send you notifications at every time I upload a video. So all remains to say is thank you, have a good day, good week, a good month, good year, and I will see you on the next lesson. Nice.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit clive5art.co.uk.